When we think wine from Alsace, I'm sure Riesling is the first variety that comes to mind. But there are so many Alsace wine choices to find, and each is expressive and flavorful. And of course, food friendly. It's Alsace. In this episode, we'll delve into many of the styles readily available, suggest a few to try, and offer a few food pairing ideas too. Enjoy the episode, give it a like, and subscribe to our channel for more. Where is Alsace? Located in the northeastern corner of France, Alsace boasts a geological diversity like no other wine region in the world, as it follows the long and narrow Rhine River. The Vosges Mountains provide stunning scenery for anyone who wants to travel upon the Alsace wine route. It's a 106-mile path traveling through more than 100 bucolic villages.
Although many think of Riesling as the only white grape produced in Alsace, the region is actually responsible for 6 other varieties, including red wine, of styles ranging from light-bodied and fresh to full-bodied and bold, mouth-watering and flavorful. Riesling, Pinot Gris, Pinot Blanc, Gewürztraminer, Sylvaner, Muscat, and Pinot Noir are all cultivated.
In Alsace, 53 appellations have been designated. Wines from AOC Alsace are affordable and easy drinking. Crémant d'Alsace are sparkling wines produced in the traditional method, and 51 Grand Cru appellations offer wines of rich complexity and structure. Soils are just as diverse as the wines, with clay, limestone, granite, calcareous limestone, marl, gypsum, and cooper are soils upon which premium vineyards are located.
Pinot Blanc. Pinot Blanc offers aromas that are fresh and slightly fruity with hints of peach, apples, and flowers. Bright acidity and expressive fruit notes on this light-bodied wine are absolutely lovely. In fact, Pinot Blanc is the most widely planted grape in Alsace and known to be among the best values in the world of white wines. This delicate wine fits the bill for any occasion and pairs beautifully with young, soft cheeses, white meats, lightly grilled fish, salads, and even a quiche or omelet for brunch.
I've got one that will go just perfectly with those. Domaine Emile Bayer Pinot Blanc Tradition 2019, only $20. Now, I love the story of the winemaker, deeply rooted in this vineyard since 1580. 14 generations of buyers, if you can believe that, have in turn passed on their passion for wine. And what's really interesting is they've kept notebooks and journals and as many photographs as possible to pass that on from generation to generation. So in this wine, Pinot Blanc and Pinot Auxerrois are the blend, and you actually can hold this for 4 to 5 years. Although you would think you could, you can. Soft and delicate. Oh my gosh, this is so delicious. Floral notes on the nose, and the same on the palate with peaches, apples, and pears. I mean, it's easy drinking, bright acidity, minerality, and stone fruit. This is perfect. So the omelets, the lighter foods, Asian cuisines, or you could just sip it on its own. It's beautiful. All right, we're back in Alsace, and we've got Pinot Gris. In general, Pinot Gris from Alsace is not very intense, but rich in aromatic complexity. Pinot Gris can reveal typically smoky notes, as well as delicious aromas of dried fruit, apricot, honey, beeswax, and even gingerbread. So it's a little bit restrained, but Pinot Gris of Alsace should sit for a while, they say, to fully reveal the aromatic and flavor and complexities. It's balanced, it's full-bodied. It's a good match for foods with strong personalities, such as foie gras, white and red meats, pork or veal roast, and duck. The aromas and round mouthfeel make Pinot Gris wonderful with sweet and sour dishes too. So think Asian food. And thanks to its earth and smoky notes, how about a mushroom risotto or truffle mashed potatoes, or even Swiss cheese? I'm getting hungry.
Well, today's Pinot Gris is the Domaine Schlumberger Pinot Gris Grand Cru 2018, a $30 bottle of wine. Domaine Schlumberger is a wine producer in Alsace, of course, with vineyard holdings that are the largest in the region. They have a combined size of 333 acres. The domain is located at the foot of the Vosges Mountains, and grapes have been grown here since 1810, when Nicholas Schlumberger brought approximately 50 acres of vines. So they have grown, they've multiplied, tripled, quadrupled. The domain itself was established in the early 1970s when Eric Badon Schlumberger took over the business and began replanting the vineyards. He introduced vineyard terracing along the steep Vosges Mountains and built dry stone walls to help protect against future erosion. And they're still a family-owned and operated estate. So I've been keeping it in my glass, as I was informed to do, to let it open up, and swirling it around. Ooh, and I'm getting peach skin, yellow fruits, floral notes, little quince, apple. There is a that I call it a flintiness. I mean, a smokiness, but that flintiness, and maybe a little bit of almond.
Wow.
There is a creaminess on the palate. It is much richer than you would think of a Pinot Gris. There's a little bit of an oily quality to it, still a lot of acidity, but it's rich and it wants rich food. So my God, this little delicate wine is far bigger on the palate, and I'd put this with scallops, creamy herb polenta, maybe with a chicken dish, or like a soft washed rind cheese. I mean, oh God, I just can think of so many things because it's got body. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gewürztraminer. The beautifully aromatic, rich, full of energy, intense aromas, flavors of exotic fruits like lychee, passion fruit, pineapple, mangoes, also rose petals, citrus fruit, and spices. What more do you want? I mean, my God. Gewürztraminer is full-bodied yet delicate, and this fresh wine is full of personality, and it's actually quite versatile when it comes to food. You can sip it as an aperitif, but it is very popular to pair with spicy flavors of foods from Asia, India, Thailand, Mexico, or Morocco, because it's the sweetness of these dishes and their sauces that will be complemented by the fruit and spice of the Gewürztraminer. And the wine can also be paired with strong cheeses or even an apricot tart or scones or slightly sweet cakes. So Gewürztraminer.
Ooh. Well, not only do I love saying the word Gewürztraminer, I love drinking it too. And I have Gustave Lorentz Reserve Gewürztraminer 2020, only $26. Now, the Lorentz family has been making wine since 1836 in the heart of Alsace. And Georges Lorentz is the sixth generation of the family. He's now in charge. His grandfather developed the vineyards on the hills of Altenburg de Bergheim in the foothills of those Vosges Mountains. And now the family has 85 acres in this terroir, 4 acres planted on the hills of the Grand Cru Kanzlerberg, and 30 acres in the Grand Cru Altenburg de Bergheim. So a fun fact, though, is that as far as anyone can determine, these grapes that are harvested have always been vinified separately, which is kind of interesting. Also, Gustave Lorentz was one of the first producers in the Alsace region to use Stelvin, which are the screw cap closures. And in 2012, the Gustave Lorentz vineyards became certified organic by EcoCert. So lots of good accolades for this brand. And how about the wine? It is amazing. Oh my gosh. I can see how it goes with Thai food, all those Asian foods I love so much. This has a clear golden color right here. So expressive with florals, roses, apricots, tropical fruit on the nose. The palate has a little creamy too, Allie, like you had said earlier. It's supple, it's complex, rich, elegant. This is just such an elegant wine. And of course, it's food friendly. Just this little bit of spice and sweet. It's fabulous. Exotic fruits, peppery ginger. I'm getting a little ginger on the palate here. Well balanced. Like I said, some some sweetness, slightly dry. So it is just it's a fabulous wine. I love this.
Yeah, it'll really cut through the spiciness of those dishes.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Now it's time for Riesling, which is the grape variety we all think of when we think of Alsace. In Alsace, Riesling shows aromas that are elegant with subtle fruit like lemon, citronella, grapefruit, pear, peach, fruit compote even, and floral notes of white flowers, lime blossoms, nettle flowers, and on the palate, even aniseed, cumin, licorice, and fennel. Riesling is unique because depending on the soil type on which it's cultivated, it develops mineral aromas such as flint, silex, kerosene, or petrol. These distinctive aromas can be found in terroir wines, the Grand Cru, the Lieu dit. And this dry wine is very linear. It has lively intensity and weight on the mid palate. Thanks to its acidity, pair Alsace Riesling with shellfish, oysters, white meats, caviar, yes, sheep or goat cheese.
Our Riesling today is the Melanie Pfister Berg Riesling 2019, beautiful colored wine for $25. A little bit about the winery. In 1780, Nicholas Pfister lived as a bourgeois wine grower, using the farm buildings that are still in place today. The estate and know-how were subsequently handed down from father to son in the traditional manner. But the latest chapter in the story has seen the arrival on the estate of Melanie, the 8th generation of Pfisters and the first woman in the line of the succession. Trained in Bordeaux and then Dijon as an engineer and enologist, she applies her knowledge and diverse practical experience to the ongoing quest for perfection that is expected from this estate. The acronym Berg, formerly Riesling tradition, comes from Afdamberg and Silberberg, two neighboring hillside vineyards. So, beautiful pale yellow color.
Beautiful.
Oh, everything I love about Riesling, because the first thing I get is like stony minerality. I get stone fruit, more like the pits of an apricot or a peach. Little bit of citrus notes.
Wow.
Super dry, crisp, nice and linear down the palate, but really fills out the mid palate. It really kind of, the acidity crosses over and coats the palate. This may be considered their entry class Riesling, but this is a very, very delicious one. I think that's due to the clay limestone mixed soils that gives this wine body, but focus and finesse, and just a beautifully organically grown wine. So delicious. Now we're going to move on to Pinot Noir, that red grape of Alsace. The nose on Pinot Noir from Alsace is deliciously black fruit, sometimes notes of leather and vanilla. And the palate tends to have fruity wild berries with silky tannins. So as a full-bodied wine, you can pair it with red meats or game, or even like duck breast with black cherries. And let's see here, I've got the Terre d'Etoile Pinot Noir 2018 from Domaine Christophe Micnat, $23 Pinot Noir. This is a family-run estate that began in 1958, and Micnat Frere is a domain that you should be checking out. The 20-acre estate produces beautifully made wines from the traditional varieties, and it's run by Christophe Micnat, who follows organic and biodynamic practices. And I think that's a trend that we see over and over in the Alsace region. So it's a beautiful ruby red color. Beautiful aromas of red fruits, cherries, black raspberry, black currant. It's a lovely structured Pinot Noir. It's not a big, there's not a lot of glycerin. It's not a lot of fruit. It's a lot more structured. It's got some nice ripe tannins and a real freshness. So it's almost like you're getting these, red fruit berries, like forest fruits, and then this freshness that washes through. So I definitely think the food dishes at the beginning are what I would recommend with this. I would even go pizza or a tomato dish, or even light cheeses.
Pinot Noir from Alsace makes me so happy, but so does Crémant d'Alsace. This is produced using the traditional method. I've got one right here I'll talk about in a minute, which is the second fermentation occurs in the bottle. Wines can be made from a blend of grape varieties such as Riesling, Pinot Gris, Pinot Blanc, Pinot Noir, Auxerrois, or Chardonnay, or from a single variety such as Pinot Noir to create Blanc de Noir. The grapes are hand harvested days before the grapes of other wines from Alsace and are bottled in the same production area with the same bottle shape as those from Champagne. So Crémant d'Alsace is intended to drink young in order to enjoy its delicate, light, refreshing aromas and tastes. It's a perfect aperitif, pairs well with appetizers, seafood, white meats, desserts, or in my case, sometimes just on its own. The one I have right here is Meyer von Crémant d'Alsace Brut Extra, only $25. And it's from a family business that has spanned 3 generations. The Meyers are descended from a Swiss family that emigrated to Alsace in 1732. Now, the vineyards cover 15 hectares over 7 communes in Alsace. This is beautiful. It is bone dry. So Meyer sources his bone dry Crémant from primarily granite soils with alluvial deposits. So we find a slightly softer, almost a spicy minerality that's just as mouth-watering as anything. Auxerrois, Chardonnay, Pinot Blanc, and Pinot Noir are blended for this. And the perfume and crisp, oh my gosh, the aromas and the crisp orchard fruit, beautiful on this. It's just charming. And while also crafted in the traditional method, the méthode champenoise, the Crémant spends just 1 year on its lees prior to disgorgement, which is much less than commonly practiced in Champagne. So instead of the creamy, leesy brioche notes you get in Champagne, this is much more fruit forward and lively and just kind of shows that it's a younger wine. So it's just delicious. And what a great price point too. Love it. So many distinctive wines we can find from Alsace. So how can we choose? We've talked about 6. I still can't decide which one is my favorite. They're expressive, food friendly, and delicious. And yes, I'm ready to pour another glass. So in this episode, we've enjoyed many wines from Alsace, and we'd like to know which one you prefer. So give our video a like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more. Cheers.
Cheers.